Okay, so recording in progress, presentation. All right. So, let's see. Okay. So what is self-love? And I would love to hear also from you. So I'm gonna ask people to if they're willing to put things in the chat, because if you stay engaged with content, it's also lands better. So if you just start thinking right now in this moment, like we're so busy, we just go, work, busy task, completing tasks. So we don't stop and reflect on our relationship with ourselves. And that's where I come in, right? That's what I do for a living. I sort of create spaces for people to pause and think like, okay, like how am I relating to myself? How am I loving and not loving to myself? And I see that in our culture, there's a lot of confusion about what loving yourself is, because a lot of times loving yourself, like people say, well, I really love myself. I go and do manicures and pedicures every week, and I go to do massage, and I go to a hike, and I do all these things for you. And then I say, well, that's not necessarily love, because it's not what you do, but how you do it. So the fact that you go and do all these things for yourself could mean that you're also doing them with a sense of like really nurturing and loving yourself, and then like tuning into like asking yourself, like, what do I really need in this moment? Or you could be just going through the checklist, like creating a checklist, like saying self-love, like from your head, creating a checklist and saying self-love in my head really looks like this. As a woman who loves herself, she really gets her nails done. Check. She really goes to massage. Check. She really looks good. Check. And it's sort of this disconnected place where you check all the boxes and then you're like, but I don't feel good. And that's where the disconnect happens, is when we create loving yourself like as some kind of idea in our head, how it should look like, completing all the boxes, doing self-care thing. And then we still like, but I don't feel good, And for another thing that I see, people think like, well, I love myself because, I allow myself to spend my Sunday with a bucket of ice cream and watching Netflix. Or like, I allowed myself to really just do nothing and sit on a couch and just, kind of feel bad for myself. And that's also not self-love, because you stuck in this like self-pity, poor me, like, oh, poor me, I have a hard day, so I'm gonna sit here and eat ice cream and watch Netflix. But that's not also self-love, because we're not necessarily going into the deeper feelings, deeper emotions that we need to feel in order for us to really feel better, to really move through whatever we're going through. But a lot of people feel like, well, loving yourself means you buy yourself things, like going shopping or doing things for yourself, or really being like, poor me, I'm gonna sit here and really feel sorry for myself. That's not, or another thing is like toxic positivity is another one. It's like, you can do it. Loving yourself is like thinking you can do anything. You can really do it. And that's another one I'm like, well, like really, you feel like you can push yourself through fear, and that's really loving yourself. That's also doesn't feel like that's my truth. So I don't know if you guys, what you resonate with. So what's your, if I can say like, what's your self-love trap? You can put it in the chat, but I know for me, I've done both. Like I've done the checkbox, like, well, if I should, like, I really like hiking. So right now, maybe I should go hiking, and that's going to be self-love. And then after I've gone on a hike, I realized that's not what I needed. Like that idea came from my head, and I thought that's what I should do. And then I still didn't feel nurtured or loving towards myself once I did, because I was coming from a different place, like loving yourself in my head, not in my body, not in my experience. And I've done the victim mentality, so sort of poor me sitting in the couch, kind of, feeling sorry for myself. I've done that as well. So those kind of like my bigger traps. But I see people are really like being perfectionistic, like taking care of the body, making their body look really good, or they're focusing on the appearances a lot and feeling like that's gonna make them love themselves more, and that doesn't work. So what I put here is like loving yourself, a deeply honoring your, what did I say, your truth, oneself, deeply honoring yourself, like deeply just honoring, like, this is me and I honor my own needs. Also seeing my own significance or magnificence or uniqueness. You know, a lot of times we say things like, well, I'm not that special, I'm okay. Like, I'm average. I'm sort of like, I'm not that great. I'm okay. I'm not that bad, but I'm sort of like, in this range where, and it's like not recognizing that we're very, very unique beings with our own unique frequency. And we each like, we each like a cosmos in itself. So if you really connect to that place where you can see yourself as something like a sunset, when you like see yourself like, oh my God, like that's me. Like when you look in your eyes and see that awe that you see in the sunset, but that's maybe a little far, that's maybe like, well, a little far beyond our ability right now. If we, for example, if you're hating yourself right now, like that's a journey, right? That's a journey for us to get there. Because I started 10 years ago and I really just hated myself, was super critical of myself. And now sometimes I could get a glimpse at that like awe of myself, but it's a big journey. So if you can get there, don't feel bad. We'll start where we at, which we all can be at different stages right now, which of course I would love to learn where you're on your stage loving yourself, because it can be like hating myself, accepting myself, feeling okay about myself, but I'm not that great. Or it could be like, oh my God, this is me, like, oh, that's so amazing. Oh, it's so amazing just to feel me, be me. Like, how do I get to be this way? And that applies to everybody. Everybody can feel that way about themselves, but that's sort of like, I feel like that's towards, advanced journey, advanced sort of stage. There are stages. So positive and nurturing self-talk, that's another one that I recognize, that when we move from that like sort of critical voice towards nurturing talk, that's where self-love really anchors in. And sometimes we need to do what's uncomfortable for the long-term benefits. It's like filing your taxes. That could be a sign of self-love, even though it doesn't necessarily feel good, or feeling your uncomfortable feelings. It doesn't necessarily feel good to love yourself, but in the long run, that's something that can be good for us. But in the moment, it doesn't necessarily always comfortable. And being in discomfort is also loving yourself, which is different, which is kind of in contrast to what I talked about, like sitting on a couch and feeling comfortable, being loving yourself. Because sometimes loving yourself is not feeling well, like doing something that doesn't feel good. And speaking your truth doesn't feel comfortable. So those are all things that I put about loving yourself, that they don't necessarily always feel good. Acceptance of one's judgments, emotions, weaknesses, and vulnerability, accepting those parts of us that feel vulnerable. The parts that so scary for us to show, but yet if we own them and if we show them to the world, we feel good in our bodies. So again, what I've noticed when people ask, like, how do I love myself? And that's also I've experienced when I didn't love myself. And, you know, when I work with clients on that and they ask like, so how do I do it? Is that they still ask it from a mind space, like a logical space, like, how do I do it? And they expect like a recipe. So sort of like, so I give them like a logical answer, right? Like, this is how you do it. You do this, which is really love is a felt sense. It's an experience. It's like a feeling. It's a frequency, if you want to talk that language, because I see the world as energetic universe. So I do speak energy language in my work, and whoever, you know, if my clients resonate with that. So it's like, love is really a frequency, right? So you can't really logically walk your way into this frequency and from your mind, you know, really figure it out, like solve it like a puzzle. That doesn't seem to work. That's why this question, like, well, so, and I'm going to talk, and that's kind of ironic because I named this class like, how do you really love yourself? So to, you know, to kind of speak about this paradox, we want to learn how. We just want to like that quick, like, just tell me how, like, I want to do it. I know I don't love myself. How do I do it? And there are practical steps that I'm going to talk about. And yet it's not just that, like, it's not just this, like, well, you know, just do it, right? Like, we need to really connect to our deeper sense, deeper experience in order for us to get there. If we just stay connected to our mind, it's going to be hard. So let's actually do that right now, so you can listen to this information, but also have an experience in your body right now, because this is really my goal. And what I've known for myself is, like, when I just listen and it's like information, but it's not integrated deeper into my body, it's sort of like, it comes and it goes. Like, you can listen and then you leave this class and maybe nothing stays. But if you just drop, like right now, if you're not driving and it's safe, you can just take a deep breath and come to your body and drop your awareness a little deeper into yourself. And just right now in this moment, connect to your heart and your body. And notice, what is it like to be in my body right now? And what is it like to be in my heart space right now? And from that heart space, see if you can extend like warmth, like a warmth, maybe you imagine a source of light, like a sun or a warm candle in your heart. And from that space, this energy radiates through your body. And if the words help for you, you can say something like, I love you, or I'm here with you right now. And you can say your name. So for me, it would be like, Irisha is how, you know, I lovingly call myself. So I can say, Irisha, I'm here with you, and I really love you. And for me, it feels like coming home to myself. And even tears come sometimes, oftentimes, to be honest. Oftentimes I cry when I come into the space, because it's like, I sometimes I remember how much I forget about this place and how much I operate from a different place. So when I come back to this place of my heart, my love for myself, it's like, oh, okay, here you are. Hi. So just say hello to yourself. Like, here you are. You've taken this time out of your very busy day to learn about loving yourself. So just meet yourself for a moment. Say hello to yourself. Tell yourself, I'm here for you. I'm here to learn how to take better care for you. See if you can create like a sense of worth. Like I was saying, it's an energetic experience. So the sense of warmth and connection and just love towards yourself. For me, it does feel like warmth and supportive, like I'm here for you. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm not going to be hard on yourself. Clearly, I've been feeling this today because I'm like about to cry. But that's good. That's always the case for me when I teach these classes. It's a lesson I need to learn. And so try stay in the space. Really try staying in the space of this self-love, self-connection that you generated when you listen to maybe some rational information that I give you, but it's really not about this rational, logical information that I give you. It's really how I talk about it. So see if you can stay connected, because I'm also like transmitting the energetic experience through my own sense. And I feel like that's really more valuable than anything I'm going to say is how I say it. But and there could be, the some pieces that you can take away that make sense to you logically, that can shift your mindset, could be also helpful. So just, if you guys want to share, how was it for you to really connect energetically to that space? Please write in the chat, and then at the end we also share. I put a slide here, like, why is it so hard for us to love ourselves? Well, it's our parents teach us to love ourselves, and if they haven't learned that themselves, we just don't know. We internalize their experience really there. And you can reflect on how much your mom loves herself. So just bring your attention to your mom for a second, and just like in your experience, like how was she really loving towards herself? I mean, most of us who grew up, so I'm from Belarus. I moved to the United States when I was 18. So, I grew up in post-USSR, and my mom was, she didn't have space to take care of herself. So she was always tired, always kind of neglecting her needs. She didn't feel good. She didn't know how to love herself. And as a little girl, I identified with that. And I adopted those, the same attitudes towards myself, and that's normal. That's why it's so hard for us to love ourselves, and that's so normal. So we shouldn't it's not helpful to beat ourselves up when we don't love ourselves, because it's kind of like it's just a normal human process. And most people just don't know how to do that. And that's why, unless we learn it, unless we come to a class like this or work with, like a therapist or someone, a healer, and heal, we just don't know. So let's be gentle with ourselves as we navigate this process. The cost of not loving oneself is very high. It can be depression. Depression is like you know, 20, I think last time I checked, like 25% of Americans are depressed, mostly women, or women tend to be as, you know, twice as much as men or something, or 4 times. And it's also this like not feeling well, you know, or feeling just okay. Like when you don't love yourself, you could feel like okay, but you never feel great. It's like this, you know, you're like, I'm okay, but I'm not like really enjoying my life. That could be the feeling. Also low productivity. So when we don't love ourselves, when we don't believe in our potential, we don't see our magnificence, like I said, like how amazing we are. We also struggle at work. Usually we tend to not ask for what we want. We fear of like making a mistake or ask for a promotion, or really go for it, like go for what we want. And that's why that's linked to low self-esteem. And that's why I believe that's why women are kind of underperforming to, you know, I think, and they seem to, statistics seem to agree that women seem to really underperform, meaning they have so much more potential, but they're not reaching their potential because they are very critical of themselves and very much always playing small and not going after their dreams. You know, it's like, well, I'm not really that great, so I'm not going to ask for the promotion. I'm not really that great, so I'm not going to start my own business. I'm not really that smart, so I'm not gonna. So all of that creates, there's just really not letting people reach their full potential, which I really love helping people to go and create lives of their dreams, not just average like okay life, but a really amazing life. And I've been also working with some people who are not loving themselves, like being critical of themselves, manifested as physical illness. So that could be a very strong like ulcers. And again, I'm not a doctor, so this is not like, you know, not like official information. But psychosomatically, people had symptoms like autoimmune diseases, very strong ulcers, like when they, you know, that feeling in the belly, the heartburn, but very strong, like that's like the pain in the belly. And autoimmune skin problems also one, I've noticed. But again, that's very kind of, it's case by case basis. So it doesn't mean if you have a certain illness, if you have a certain illness that's, you know, if you love yourself, it's going to be resolved. I'm not saying that, but it does help to with some physical illnesses. Okay. Okay, just reading. Yeah. So the first step, so like I said, even though I mentioned that loving yourself is not like a problem solving piece that you can figure it out and do, it's an energetic and a feeling, but yet there are steps you can do even if you're not there. Like if it's very hard for you to connect to your heart space and really feel that love in your heart, and you just don't know how to do it, like, of course, there's still steps you can do to help yourself get there. And the first one that I put here is commitment. Because if and actually that's one change that one step that you can do today, like if you right now say, I'm committed, I'm committing myself, I'm committing to loving myself today. I'm committing that I'm gonna do everything I can for a year to learn how to love myself. I'm gonna do it. Like I'm really committed. That's a good indication that there's gonna be some change for you there. Because a lot of times it's like, yeah, I wanna love myself, but you know, I'm too busy. Yeah, I wanna love myself, but it's you know, I have small kids. Yeah, but so that's not the attitude that's gonna really get us there, because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna love myself, but you know, it's like last item on my list. Well, that's no matter what information I give you, if you have that attitude, then that's, you know, that's just not going to be helpful, because there's not this like internal motivation and commitment to really change it. And so even right now, you can like ask yourself, like, how committed am I to doing this change? Like if you want to change how you treat yourself, like how important it is for you on a scale of 0 to 10. Just give yourself a number. And also ask yourself, can I really envision it? Like if you right now close your eyes and really just feel into like into this vision, like I wake up and I smile because I feel so good in my body. If I'm saying just like, oh my God, I so love myself, you know, it's like so amazing to be me. Yay. What a great day. I feel so good in my body. I took care of myself. I you know, it feels good. Like how possible do you feel that is for you? Because if you just don't feel like it's possible, if you're like, yeah, but you know, like that yeah, but that I mentioned, that's really gonna get in the way. And a lot of times people really need to hit like rock bottom to change. And that was the case for me. Like I got to the point where I was so self-destructive that it's like I was getting sick. Like I had really bad ulcer problems, stomach problems, you know, the indigestion. I couldn't like really eat really well. And I was also drinking, and I just my like self-hate got to the point that I started feeling like physically ill. And that's when I started to change. And I really hope people don't get to the point where they physically sick to start caring for themselves, because that's basically but sometimes that's okay also, because sometimes we don't even realize how we're treating ourselves, and the physical symptom is what's really showing us. So I suggest, if you're listening to this and you really want to change it, you just make a commitment to yourself right now. That's what I would suggest. Like, you can say, I'm going to really prioritize. I'm going to really commit to myself to do this change, to change my relationship with myself. And that's going to be my number one priority for this year. And that's going to come first. Like whatever, kids, husband, work, everything else, it's going to come after, but that's going to be my commitment to myself. And see how that feels if you do that. So practical step number one, or practice step number one, something you can practice, it's disidentifying from the inner critic, the critical voice. And that's something I also work a lot, and really feel like that's a key to loving yourself, is we all have this voice that's criticizing us. It's a built-in evolution thing. We all have it. And it says things constantly, depending on your own particular inner critic. It just constantly tells us things that are wrong with us, or with our life, what we're doing. And it's okay, but we tend to identify with it, which means we believe it. Like as soon as you said something, we believe it. And that's where the problem is. It's like, oh, you know, I really like, I used to have really mean inner voice, inner critic. So it would tell me things like, you're ugly, you are worthless, you are, you know, you're not really important. So how dare you teach a class on self-love? Like, you don't know anything. And it's, you know, it's like, if I listened to that voice and believed that voice, I wouldn't be here talking to you about this. I wouldn't be working with my clients on this. I wouldn't be doing the work I do in the world. And that would be, I guess, really sad if I wouldn't done it. If I really let that voice run my life, at the end of my life, I probably will look on my life and say like, wow, like what a waste of life listening to this voice. Again, it's there for a reason. It's okay that it's there. Its a job is protection. But we need to separate ourselves from it. We just need to be able to witness it, thank it, and really listen, but don't believe it. Don't believe, especially if it says really mean things. That's huge. If you can also take that one thing away from today, that could also change your life, because that's usually big. And I work with this voice a lot. So sometimes it takes like a year for a client to stop identifying with this voice. So if you haven't done this step, that's probably, I would say, take away that and start working on that, because that's basically the biggest block usually when people start saying like, well, how do I change my relationship to myself? Like I say, well, like, how do you talk to yourself? And they say, yeah, I beat myself up all the time. I criticize myself. And I say, okay, then we really need to work on that first before. Okay, this practice step number 3 is practice self-acceptance. Sometimes it's like I was saying, there's this journey, right? Everybody, I don't know where you guys are on this journey. I'm somewhere in the middle. I started with like hating myself and criticizing myself, and here's like like awe and loving yourself so much that you just overwhelmed in this love experience every day. You know, you wake up and you're like, oh my god, what a joy of being myself. What a delight to be sort of like this, you know, not in the like narcissistic, like, oh, I'm better than everybody, but just like delight. It's like taking delight in your child, you know, but taking that same delight in yourself. Like, woo, wow. It's like the child, they made poop, you know, you're like, wow. But you can imagine you can do it to yourself. You're like, oh my God, I made my bed today. Wow. But we're like expectations, right? Like so different. And by the way, that doesn't mean we can still achieve great things. It's just whatever we achieve, we're happy about. And that's here, right? So I'm working towards that myself, but I can kind of already tap into how it feels. And self-hate, self-criticism is here. And so then somewhere in between here and the next step is a acceptance. Acceptance is such a good, it also has its own vibration and frequency and feeling. And it's not like that like awe that I mentioned, but it's pretty good. Like if you can get to acceptance, it's a solid place. It's a solid place of not suffering. It's a very good like feeling to be accepting towards myself. And you can start with simply sometimes practice this, like I'm feeling whatever X, and that's okay. So whatever, maybe you're feeling something now or later today, you'll be feeling like anger, and you can just say, okay, I'm feeling anger, and that's okay. I'm feeling sadness, and that's okay. I'm feeling frustration, that's okay. I'm feeling excitement, and that's okay. So that's a good, basically it's like empathy with yourself, like being okay with whatever you're feeling. I also use EFT tool, which is it's like a tapping. You can just Google it. I don't want to spend too much time here, but it's like sometimes I just love the affirmation that they have, which is I deeply love and accept myself. So even though I'm feeling judgment, I deeply love and accept myself. And they do the tapping, so that's like they access like the energetic meridians in the face. So it's like here, here, here. But you can look it up. If you resonate with sort of energetic tools, that could be really helpful. Some affirmations might help. Like I used to do that. Like affirmations don't really go on like a deeper subconscious level. So, but sometimes it's, you know, still better than like saying I'm ugly, is to like, you know, say I'm actually, I don't know if you can say I'm beautiful. It's like, you know, I'm okay. I'm actually, it's not, I mean, I'm not like, you know, I do that sometimes with my face, you know, when you look in the mirror and just say, yeah, hi, I look okay. So that's like a sense of acceptance. Just being at peace with what is, being peace, having a sense of peace with what is. Really, another practical step is tapping into the frequency of love. I didn't want to make it sound really esoteric and something like, woo, like frequency of love. What is it? Does it exist? But it's like, it's actually really simple. It's what we did in this exercise. And there's maybe 4 people joined after I did this exercise. So just a reminder, or for those people who joined after this exercise, what we did, we just simply connected to our hearts. So our heart has a frequency, an energetic frequency. And when we working on self-love, it's helpful to connect to that because it's a natural feeling that lives in our hearts. And I remember, and Masha remembers it, when she met me. Masha met me when I was really in the place of not loving myself. And we did Kundalini yoga teachers training. And we did a lot of exercise on the heart chakra. And that was a way, and I did feel those experiences through the heart too. So connecting to the heart through, I don't know if it's yoga for you, or if you're not like into energy at all, then maybe that's not going to be your way. But it's basically connecting to the feeling. So it could be like connecting to like when you come to the ocean and you feel that acceptance through the ocean. Or maybe when you go for a walk and you really feel that acceptance through the nature or through the sun. Sometimes I feel that through sun, like I go outside and I feel the warmth of sun in my skin, and it feels like a frequency of acceptance or just, you know, warmth. And I can like take it in and feel that. I used to work with archetypes, and for me, it was Mary Magdalene. For someone, it could be Jesus if you're religious and you have connection to that very strong archetype that, you know, if you just disconnect from religion and just take like the energetic, if you, I mean, I'm not really religious. I'm spiritual, not religious. So I don't tend to like the religious approach, but I take like what works for me, which is the energy of it, like an energy of an archetype. So for me, Mary Magdalene has been a big heart opener at some point. Like I really connected to her energy, and her energy is unconditional love. And I would just visualize her and really just feel that love that she's radiating. It could be mother archetype, like, you know, like coming, if you connect it to earth, like earth-based practices, like connecting to earth and feeling love that earth has for us. And earth is very accepting. It can be music, arts. You can watch romantic movies and really feel that, you know, it's basically generating that feeling that we want to tap into and create that, like, that's like the poetry, the arts, movies that create that love that we can take and extend towards ourselves. Most of us feel this natural love towards our kids. So we can look at them and feel that love, and we just need to learn to take it in for ourselves, because right, a lot of times it's like give, but we just want to start like circulating back to us, like not forgetting us, not forgetting ourselves, washing ourselves with that fountain of self-love that flows freely in the universe. We just need to tap into it. Last step that I have here, but it's this one is very practical. So if you like, previous one was a little like, yeah, I don't know about that. That seems like a little esoteric and woo-woo and not my thing. This one really works for everyone because it's practice acceptance with your body. I don't know if you guys watch Sex, Love, and Goop on Netflix. I love that show. It's really good. It's Gwyneth Paltrow company, Gwyneth Paltrow Goop, but she kind of did the show on sex and intimacy and love. And they do this mirror work in, was it like episode 3 or 4, where they undress fully and naked they stand in front of the mirror and notice what's coming up. So that's a good test of how much you love yourself, basically. If you just undress, stand in front of the mirror and notice, like, what's coming up, what kind of messages come up as you observe yourself in the mirror. A lot of times it's just really that inner critic, like your stomach is too big, your breasts are too small, your wrinkles are, and so it's just noticing that, okay, yeah, I have a lot of criticism towards myself, and taking a note. Yeah, I'm noticing I'm really critical of myself, and then disidentifying, like noticing that you are not that voice. Okay, I'm really critical towards myself, but now I'm choosing to just be aware in the body and shift towards acceptance. So noticing what your body, just how does it feel in the moment, so you can again like do this like self-awareness check-in right now with yourself, like, okay, how am I feeling right now? How's my body feeling? Like, oh, I'm noticing my legs are not really that comfortable right now, so maybe I'll change my body position, or maybe I'll just do like a little shake, or shake my legs. Maybe I'll stretch after this. So it's just again just that noticing and loving, first accepting your body, and then extending that love towards your body. And again, it's really starts small with that, with just that noticing how you treat your body. Like, do you really exercise with this like love and care, or is it something you like force yourself, like, oh, and sometimes I do that. Sometimes it's just like something to get over with, like, oh, this exercise, just like, and sometimes it's like slowing down, really feeling it. And I know when I'm slowed down and really feel how it feels in my body, tends to create this good relationship with the body. Or when I nurture, it's like, well, how do you treat your body? Do you look like overeat? Do you undereat? Do you treat it just right? Do you eat what nourishes you? So basically your relationship with your body can be a good indicator of what your relationship is like with yourself. So that's a good practical step to start building awareness about, to start noticing, and if you can, start shifting. Okay. So it's already 12:54. I'm noticing the time. So I'm gonna, that is the end of my presentation. So I'm gonna exit. Is it the end? Well, that's the final slide as my presentation ends. So for those of you who are not connected with me on Facebook, on Instagram, please connect, please follow me. I do a lot of like professional posts on social media. My name is Iryna Aronov. Please connect, and also have a free Facebook group which is called Whole Woman, and you can just join the group. I try to do like free trainings every week, do like lives, go live and talk about different topics. I have one that's coming up. It's going to be about confidence, because a lot of people have asked me to talk about confidence. So I'm talking about that. Again, so you're welcome to stay connected. And if you would like to take this deeper, if you really enjoyed what we talked about, today, I invite you, you can schedule a free self-love strategy session if you're new to my work and would love to go deeper into your process. So for those who attended this talk, you can also schedule that. It's like 30 minutes chat with me. We can talk about how, basically how what I talked about applies to you. And I posted link here, but it's not a clickable link. So I'll post link here in the chat in a second. And it's also on my website. And yeah, so with that, I'll end my recording, and you can ask questions or comments, and I would love to hear your feedback. So you can just put in the chat what came up for you. So I'm going to